absorb sound too.
It does.
I think a lot depends too on the set design. If you have a box set like this one, so it's a fairly solid back wall, right, Les? It helps, the amphitheater effect that you're talking about, that pushes the sound out into the audience.
I noticed a curtain there and I thought, oh, I put the hearing ones on right off
really?
the bat.
Yeah. The other thing is Metro was never built to be a live theater. It was built as a movie theater. You see, that's why the seats are so low. You're supposed to look up to see the screen. And then it was, which was here. And that's why it's an unusual configuration. That's something we have to be aware of as a director, is that if you go and you stand much further back, the further back that I go, if you're in the front row, the more I disappear. And if there's a couch or something, I'm only seen from about the neck up.
That's correct.
And so you have to tell the actors, you want them downstage for many reasons, and visibilities also, because you literally get cut off, and especially if you're short.
Yes.
If you're only, say, 5 feet tall, you can, the further upstage you go, you can totally disappear.
Well, Les, your kick at the can.
I'm not an actor. I'm never going to be on stage, but I get to put all this other stuff on the stage, or I have a big crew of volunteers. And the more volunteers that we can get, the better it is. For now, this is the end of our 53rd season. We have averaged 2,500 hours of volunteer time to put every one of these shows on. From the actors that have put in 12 weeks of rehearsals to, not 12 weeks of rehearsals, but 6 to 8 weeks of rehearsals, to carpentry, to putting the set down. We spend a Sunday, this went up on Sunday afternoon 2 weeks ago. It'll come down after we close on the 21st, it'll come down on the 22nd, and get started away. This is the last show of our season. But 2,500 hours on average, at a minimum, for every show we do. So doing the math, this is number 498. That's 1,250,000 hours-ish over the period of time. And it's all non-professional, except for 6 or 8 of us that have a bit of an allowance out of this place. Everybody is an amateur performer or backstage crew. And it's been, I did my first show here in 1968, a while ago now. But it was a starting point for a 40-year career in television and film. And sort of because of this place, I was exposed. And that's, I think, what Metro wants to be, is a place where youngsters can get an exposure to what can happen backstage. Yeah. And as a society, we're a society of storytellers, whether these stories are morality plays or something light and entertaining or mystery or whatever it is. We're storytellers, and every part of that, the building of the set, the putting up of the lights, the sound design, everything, all the actors on the stage are telling a story, and we're all part of this collaborative effort to put this on. And it's important to know that these volunteers can have a part of that. It's a way of satisfying whatever creative urges we may have, whether like poets do the same thing, storytellers, writers do the same thing, artists do the same thing. It's a way of expressing some sort of art form, some creativity. And it's important that Metro sort of is available to all these young volunteers or the older ones like me that have come back and for whatever reason. but we love the process. We love telling stories. So it's here to be available to expose new kids to what's here.
How does your infection of what you just related to the younger people that are interested in the theater coming along and giving you a hand at set designs?
That's the big question these days, is how do we do that? Yeah. We've had the fellow that was operating the lights and the sound tonight is a young high school student that came in 2 shows ago as a work experience in the work experience program for the Vancouver School Board. So we've had 3 of those. So it's a way of connecting with schools and stuff. Particularly
through schools and colleges and universities.
Yeah, it's a tough road for us, and it's sort of one of a balancing act that we're trying to find more people, but bring them up to speed and be able to do the job, because we need certain standards where the audience is going to come. So it's got to be at a level where our audience, you people can come and enjoy the show, and we'll spend enough money to pay for what we put on the stage and pay for the heat and the light and the insurance that goes on.
So I know I'm kind of engaged in taking up too many of the questions, and the other people have other questions too, but what do you do with all this equipment now? If you're going to change over, where do you store it?
Metro is more than what we see here.
Where do you store it?
We have a scene shop down on Oak Street, just 2 blocks away.
Okay.
Where we build the set, we store most of the pieces. It's also a rehearsal space, so we rehearse down there. We can have 3 shows in operation. We'll have one just starting rehearsal, one getting finished the rehearsal period, while this one is still on the stage. So we're scheduling maybe 3 shows at once at any one time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then we do the changeover. We have the set built in the shop, and they're usually on the set to rehearse for 2 weeks before we even move it here.
If you can believe, they built the set twice. They built, like this set was built in the scene shop, and they got to rehearse on it there. Then the crew takes it all down, puts it in a truck, brings it here, and puts it up again.
Who does all the designing? You got to have someone artistic.
There's somebody right there behind you with the phone in her hand. That's Tracy Lynn.
She does our set deck and set painting.
No. I don't design though. I follow through. That's all.
We have different set designers that design the sets.
But she's our set decorator. She paints, and
Beautifully,
she has to find the furniture.
beautifully done.
Yeah, the furniture, the pictures, the lamps, all that kind of stuff.
I can see detail.
Yeah, that she has to try and find the right period. And also, thank you, also we need to have different stuff. You know, we don't want you to come and see a play and 2 months later sit there and go, oh, look, there's
That's
that
a chair on there.
There's that floral couch again. Remember we saw that 2 months ago.
That dress she's wearing the same.
Exactly, because they're all different styles and different periods. I mean, this is obviously a very distinctive style. So, you know, and this is a problem with storage. Let's tell them about where we store.
Well, we've got the scene shop, which is, I don't even know the square footage anymore. But we've also got 3 containers in the
3
back.
containers out back, and the chairs are mine. The other chairs are mine. Some of the paintings are mine. So.
Yeah.
Your place at home looks pretty bare now, doesn't it?
I have a storage locker, so it's okay. But yeah, no, we do a lot of borrowing from generous souls who say, I have a chaise lounge that might work, or a bookshelf, or things like that. And other than that, we've got 3 storage units out back. We've got built-in storage in the shop space and rehearsal space upstairs. And
But it is a challenge because after we buy something, like Tracy Lynn found the perfect couch and chair for There Goes the Bride, floral in exactly the colors that I wanted, pale pink and apple green. I gave her very specific, so that's great. So we've got this big couch and chair. Now the play's finished. What do we do with it? We don't want it. It's too distinctive to ever use again.
I have a spittoon I stole from the Yukon.
I'll take it.
I have a question for you folks. When you sit in the chairs and watch the plays, did you think that all of this went into putting on a production? Did it ever cross your mind that this much went into it?
That's why this is so relevant for us to understand what really goes on to the total production of these things. You know?
Well, thank you.
Just listening to you, I am so grateful to have this theater that we come and enjoy immensely, and you can't imagine the work that goes into it. We only take and enjoy. So thank you so much.
Thank you for We would be useless if it weren't for you.
Yeah.
Because we would be up here just blathering onto our ourselves, so
Yeah.
we need you as much as you
Absolutely.
appreciate us, so
Yeah.
We
it's
are
a
in
two-way
awe of
street.
I have a son who's a drama teacher
Oh,
and
wonderful.
puts on shows.
All right.
And at his level in a high school, so I can't imagine in a huge public theater, it's even more, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know, the thing about live theater is the audience is not so important, not just for sitting there, but you really, you know, when you're acting on the stage and you go, God, that's a good house, aren't they great? They're every single thing that they're catching everything. There's such a good audience, and sometimes it's not a big audience. Sometimes you'll have only 50 people, but they're really responsive and really enjoying it. And so you really do feed as an actress, I'm sure.
Oh,
you really do
much so.
feed,
Especially in
from-
comedy.
Yeah, you feed from the audience. You really.
Well, there
do.
was actually, I was quite surprised how much laughter there was in this play. But there are some comedic moments,
Yeah.
and of course, sometimes Agatha Christie pushes it into the realm of melodrama, so that makes the audience laugh as well, because it's sort of like the different.
Yeah. But
When I was a kid, and that was a couple of years ago, but it's still here in my memory, and I act like it too often. But anyways, I came out here in 1936. My aunt had a hardware store just at the south end of Granville, close to here. And we used to come to the movie theater here.
Really? Oh my
heaven's
God.
sake.
Here's an old fart that still has a connection to you as not
That's
only a
amazing.
theater,
Yeah.
but also
Steve
a
Owen
movie.
Village down here.
Yeah.
What
Goes
year
on forever.
was it? 64 that it changed to from a movie theater to a live?
Yeah.
1964. And there's pictures of the mayor at the time and aldermen. It was a really big deal that it was opening as a live theater. One of our main problems is that we are in Vancouver, and nobody can afford to live in Vancouver.
Nobody.
And our audience has moved out to Pitt Meadows and Maple Ridge, and we're still stuck here.
Port Moody.
Yeah, Langley, Port Moody, Ladner. I mean, this is it. The audience can't afford to live in Vancouver anymore.
Yeah.
But we are so dedicated, I'm willing to do the drive.
Absolutely.
That's real
I
dedication.
think Kitsilano's a long drive.
Especially in my wheelchair.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Come
you're
on your
right.
skateboard from Kitsilano.
It's powered.
Yeah. Anyway, we really
Well,
appreciate.
thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.